Yeah, what's up, body of Christ? I get a chance to introduce you to a gentleman that serves at the fellowship. One of the elders here handles our home free ministry. Also, is an incredible advisor to the entire team. I've got Mr. Tyrone Hinton in the building. What's up, man?
How you doing, Pastor? How are you?
I'm all right, Chief. You all right?
I can't be better. I'm
Yeah.
here. Hang there. Hang there. Hey, saints, all the saints that are watching, how are you all? Are we well?
Well,
You
look,
can't come to the house. You can't have the house without giving greetings to all the saints.
I got you. I got you. I agree. I agree. Greetings, everyone. So, we get a chance today to talk a little bit about the ministry and one of the facets of the ministry that you handle here at Epic Fellowship. And it's a unique situation. And so we want to talk about this idea we had that you were already doing. You were already doing it. You were talking to people. And I came up in church. We called it to the sick and the shut in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they would call it back in the day. And we just came up with an incredible title for it. And we call it Home Free, not homebound, but home free.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Like you said, Pastor Frank, Home Free was birthed years ago out of that same concept that you shared of the sick and the shut in that we go to so many churches. But it didn't seem to be real.
Mhm.
It was real for those ministries, but it didn't seem to take legs on it. And I'm the type of person that if I see something and I have love for it, I have a passion for it, I'm going to ask God and see if I can put love and legs on that word love. So we came with the concept of idea of home free, and we did not make it homebound because that sounds so emboxed.
Yeah.
Home free, I wanted there's people to understand they could be, if they're homebound or they're in their homes or they don't have a connection while they're in their homes to the outside world, be it to communities, be it to families, be it to their churches, whatever the case, they've come to a state in life or a place in life where they have no connections outside. They just in their houses. They may go to an appointment here or there, but they have no other connections there are. So, and I came to that point because I experienced it for years myself, of being just in the place by myself, and then to have a whole lot of people reaching out to me, and knowing that I spent years in my home and almost 10 years in actually a bed, a homebound bed, and could not have people to visit me a lot. So it came and birthed in my heart for that reason. And so we want to serve those people that are of age, those people that maybe in my case, I'm wheelchair bound, disabled, or people that just don't have the connection with any community, any network, any church, any synagogue, whatever be the case. They just live those lonely, isolated lives, and those are the people that Home Free wants to touch.
Wow. Incredible. Incredible. So let me just sidebar real quick. I'm going to put a notice on the shelf for leaders and pastors and leadership teams, administrative teams, people that are leading churches. Mostly in the nonprofit arena, we don't have this issue because these are people that are out there every day. But sometimes church, because it's such a community and it has this big day in the week where everybody comes together, it's easy to forget those that are not in there. And so what I like to do is just say to everyone, if it were not for Elder Tyrone, I would not be thinking about the sick and shut in. I would not be thinking about people that are at home in that box he's talking about, and people that are like need this ministry like Home Free because they weren't on my radar. But what happens is, as God gives us vision, he adds people to the vision.
Yes.
That see things that you don't see. And because of him, now it's become embedded in my life. And I think about those people. Normally it was a blind spot that I did see. And I probably wouldn't have seen unless something happened to me. You get what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So I just wanted to tell you guys and ladies that are leading fellowships and congregations and Bible studies and ministry groups. Think about those that are not inside of the situation where they're walking into the room every week.
Mhm.
Think about those that aren't doing that, that have gotten older, that have gotten frail, that are faced with some health challenges, that live kind of in isolation. Think about them, because man, I really I really see this as something that has to be handled inside of ministries today, because there's so many people just around where we are. You know, we meet in a community center, and
Mhm.
so around the community center, there's so much disrepair, and people have they've gotten older, man. They're living in their homes. Their porches are ragged. Their steps are crooked. Their house needs, like a scrubbing and a painting. And it's probably nobody even knows what's going on inside.
Mhm.
So,
Oftentimes, Pastor Frank, they don't know
mm,
because a lot of the elderly or the aging out are forgotten.
yeah.
They're the population, unfortunately, that's the least thought of, both
Mm,
outside the church and inside the church.
wow.
And if they are inside the church, they're not involved in a lot of situations that make or break life for them.
Hmm.
And so they may come to a fellowship, um, but they're not a participant because people don't make room for them.
Wow.
And so they decide to withdraw themselves, um, or isolate themselves because they don't feel like they have any value in life.
Mm,
They don't have anything else to contribute. They pass it on to their kids or their grandkids, and then they decide they resolved and resigned to just sit there and wait to die. Really, literally, a lot of them.
wow.
And, so they stay in that way, and you found they lose their voice. They become hopeless. They become hurt in the pain, and it takes people like those of us who are at HomeFREE or other ministries similar to that to step outside and say, I'm going to touch you today because you make a difference. Because it's really upon your shoulders that we stand.
Wow. Amazing. That's amazing. I know we never know exactly what a person's going through.
Mm,
And I've seen it, but think about this. This is how I look at it. I've been to I've been in church my whole life, pretty much from the baby carrier up until now. And rarely have I seen those that were struggling in some way, physically or whatever, really being incorporated into uh, the assembly, the service, the ministry. Seldom do we really see that. And, I think it's important that people see that, because the same way in every family, there's someone that is gay. There's
yes, sir.
someone, you know what I'm saying? There's someone that is
Yes,
going
sir.
to have a physical challenge. There's
Yes, sir.
someone that's going to go through something, that's going to age, that's going to have needs. And we always think about, feeding people and clothing people. But sometimes there are people that need a little bit more. And we got to think about them too, and how we
Mm.
go about that. So in your own life, you said you sat there for a long time. Man, how did
Yeah.
you get through that?
I don't want to use a
Well, I
church
know you
clique,
won't calling me back, but anyway, go ahead. How did you get through?
so you always get this story. You always get this story, but I'm not gonna blast you like that, Pastor.
I don't
I'm gonna leave
bless
you alone. For me, and I don't want to use a church cliche,
you. Hmm.
but it took God. Being saved from an early age, it took God. I involved myself in a lot of reading, a lot of writing, um, studying, reaching out people. This HomeFREE program, like I said, that I was involved in, um, it just took a determination that I just chose to live and not die, man.
Wow.
I just decided that I realized that I got that gene from my mom of resilience and stick to itiveness and determination that I'm just not gonna go down without a fight.
Gotcha.
But unfortunately, um, many of us do not have that same fortitude, unfortunately. And those are the people that we have to consider beyond ourselves, because they don't have that. And I don't ever take it for granted, because many people are not like me. I'm a fighter to this day.
Mhm.
If I go down, I'm gonna be fighting going down.
Right.
But unfortunately, that's not the case with a lot of people. So it was difficult. It was emotionally, mentally, and physically, oftentimes difficult. Uh, I think about the days that sometimes just trying to get out of the bed, it would take 2 hours just to get myself out of bed, or
Wow.
to try to prepare, to think about preparing myself to go for a service if I wanted to. It may take 3 to 4 hours just to prepare myself, get ready, and get to the door to go out.
Wow.
So therefore, then I resigned and said, okay, that's 4 hours. Don't have the energy for it. I'm worn out, tired. Um, but it takes a press. It takes a determination and I chose to live, man. I chose to live, and so I want to empower those people that I come in contact with in HomeFREE to be able to do the same thing, and that maybe not go in my path, my same path, but go in how far they can go and
Right.
how much their faith and their resilience takes them.
You know, we all have a different path, you know,
Yeah.
in the sense of what we're faced with internally or externally. We
Yes.
we all have a different path. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, so if someone were to say, I'm interested in being a part of Home Free Ministry at Epic, or I'm interested in helping to put together something similar to a Home Free in an autonomous way at their ministry, give them a kind of like a play-by-play of how Home Free is done at Epic.
Okay. First, I started off with now. Well, I'll backtrack. Years ago, we started off with a program called um, just simply because I learned this from living a lot of time by myself, that oftentimes around our houses, we can see things in the unsafe spots that make put elderly or aging or hurting or people that are homebound in situations where they're unsafe, such as your grass growing up, such as no light that's ever shown in your house, such as no life outside, no plants. So I started from the outside in, really. And
Mm,
so I learned how to have friends and how have family, or when I could put simple flowers around the house. Put maybe you can't afford it. Maybe have a light that comes on a certain time. It goes off at a certain time. Or if you have a ramp on in your yard, some people I've walked by and I said, or I've ridden by and said, maybe you want to put some flowers here to try to hide the ramp so that you won't be so exposed.
hmm.
Simple things like that make a difference for safety outside. On the inside, um, you have to think, sometimes come out of yourself and think, what meets their needs other than what do I want to give them?
Give me an example.
For example, um, if I have a meeting, if you have a meeting, pastors or leaders, and say, well, we want everybody here at 7 o'clock, nobody thinks about how an aging person or disabled person has to start maybe 2 or 3 hours before that 7 o'clock. So who's there to aid them or to assist them or give them a call or to remind them that what do you need to help you get there at 7 o'clock?
Right.
So it's
Right.
not like popping up. I think a lot of us take for granted. I can just awaken. I can put my feet on the floor. I can start my thinking process, and I'm off.
Hmm. Not the case.
Not the case. Oftentimes, it's not the case. It's just, how do I get one foot in front of the other before I
Right.
can even think about walking out the door?
Gotcha.
So,
So a play-by-play of your day would be, if I were in a situation and I needed the ministry of Home Free, how do I engage with HomeFREE, and what can I expect?
Well, what we do here at HomeFREE is that I have a certain, and I guess the key goes back to this. I don't wait for them to reach out to me. Sometimes if I know, I'm gonna reach out to them first.
Okay.
Because oftentimes people that is in the situation don't have the means, or they're so isolated and they become stuck at a place where it's difficult to feel like they matter, and they don't reach out. So what I do is I establish a friend list or people they're referring, and I'll contact them on a regular basis. Those, as far as they're concerned, I set certain days, Mondays, Tuesdays. Now it seems to be Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That I'll just reach out to them. I'll call them. On my list, my contact list. I call them, and over time, I establish a relationship with them. So it's just not like recruiting someone; it's establishing a relationship to let that person know that they mean something and they matter. Sometimes my phone calls are just listen to them talk for 30 minutes, and they're just going for it. And I engage with them. We laugh and we
right,
whatever. Sometimes it's just remember simple birthdays or simple surgery days, or um, uh, simple things like I said outside the house. One of the other outreach program for HomeFREE is, for years I've been sponsoring them just getting their grass cut because they can't cut. So I've had a particular company that would allow me to donate them, sponsor their grasses cutting, and they cut their grass throughout the season.
Gotcha.
They just free of charge. They just go out to do it. So one day may go to another day, may go to another whole day. Depends on each individual person what their need is.
So what if you run across someone that needs some food, or you run across somebody that has a situation going on with prescription medications, things like that? How are they assisted?
Well, say if it's food for, I'm going to see if they can contact food banks. I'm going to see if they can contact their caseworker. If they allow me, they introduce me to the caseworker. I can speak with them about what needs or what resources are necessary in their particular county or neighborhood. Some churches that I know give out food services and food aid. I contacted them and see if they are within their scope they can give out. There are some churches that will give out certain funds and stuff to help support them in food purchasing. Some groups, food stores will sponsor that, very rarely, but there are some that I would actually give food.
So let me ask you this. Are you running into some people, because of where they are, they're running into situations where they are delving too much into substances?
Most of the people, the average range, I would say that the people that we've served here range between late 50s and up. And I mean up like the 80s and the 90s. Some of them are 90. One of them is actually 95 years old.
Gotcha.
So you don't have a tendency to find the people that I've been blessed with that has support or deal with substance or abuse or anything like that. They really have a need. They're just older, aging individuals that have lost contact with humanity and the touch. A simple touch sometimes, a simple laugh sometimes, oftentimes can change their day just by knowing somebody else cares. So substance abuse, things like that, don't tend to be. And if they are, those are the type of people that I refer over to caseworkers or social services or whatever resources that I have to see if they want to become involved in those. And I let them have that specialty. Right. That's not what HomeFREE is for. As far as that's like a professional specialty type of group. So I have those resources, but I refer them to those type of things. And if they progress in those programs and they eventually gradually come to the point where HomeFREE can be of assistance to them, then of course we're here.
Man, you just made me think about something. And I talked about this when I got a chance to talk with Vanessa about administration, where we discussed where Peter was like, hey, these widows, they were people were complaining about the widows not being served
Mm-hmm.
in the daily administration of the young early church that had so many things in common, but also so many needs that needed to be met. And so they pulled out 7 men full of the Holy Ghost, and we called them our first deacons. And, thinking about how deacons or diaconia or people called to serve in that way are really like caseworkers.
Yeah.
They're really like caseworkers. They should be casing the place
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out the work that needs to be done. Because let's say Epic is a young church. Epic doesn't have all of the resources that it would need to help people with their rent, help people with all of the food they need, help people with the things, prescription medications and things like that. If someone were to call and say, hey, I need $10,000 for my mortgage, we wouldn't have that. But that's the beauty of recognizing that instead of trying to go into a city and doing everything yourself, you connect with organizations and agencies that are already out there doing things and saying, if someone calls me, I can give them a good referral to you so that we can make sure, because you're getting federal funding. This is what that money is for. So I want to make sure that we take and connect people in communities to resources so that, nobody, we love saying no child left behind, but we also got to remember no adult left behind.
No adult left behind.
Yeah.
And
we want to act our age. We want to act our wage. We want to connect with people that can really, because some cases are just bigger than what your ministry is able to handle. And that's okay. You don't have to have your own family life center. Use the one in the city. You don't have to have your own pool. Use the one in the city. You can just connect with things that are already there in the community. You say you're called to serve. And then instead of isolating, you're integrating that fellowship into the city, into the needs of the people of the city, and you're doing ministry work in that.
And that's important, because we have to realize it really is not about blowing ourselves up, or in our case, HomeFREE up.
Right.
The calling and the goals are not to build up and make a major name, a national name for HomeFREE, especially if HomeFREE were not serving people. Then it's really a wash. It has no real purpose in the kingdom. So if we can connect from A to B to C, and make those professional or those resources connect, then those things make the people's lives connected back to their communities, back to their families, back to fellowship, back to just having someone that simply can touch a hand.
Yeah.
Other than in a nursing home or in a group home or whatever be the case there. It takes all of us working together. It takes the weight of it not to be placed on the shoulder of one person. That's a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
Learn that in a lot of ways. So we've got to be able to reach them where they are, and take them where they are, and love on them where they are, and build that trust so they can trust you to try to connect them to the next step.
Right.
I can remember a certain client I had. It took me forever and a day for me to build trust with him. Weeks, just having conversation, just having him talk, just being familiar, laughing eventually, warming up to the point I can just get him to have, can I have someone come and visit you? And of course I had somebody in that particular area. I was on the phone with him, introduced him while I was on the phone, and they start having a connection to them. Eventually, he found out that he likes parks. He likes greenery. So that person was assigned to them just to come and pick them up every now and then, to take them simply out in the wheelchair to go to a park and be pushed around in the park. To them, it made life or death. And they had been in their home for 8 years and never had been outside, except for the doctor's appointment.
God Almighty.
It's the little things that matter.
Man, I'm trying to There it is. So here's what I want to say. With those little things that matter is very important, because those little bitty things equal a lot of ministry.
Yes, yes.
You don't have to be mega to do ministry. And
Yeah.
so I want to put a number out here. If people want to reach out to us, it's 833-276-0422. Text that number. We can put you in touch with Tyrone. Also, your email address, I think it's advisory@epicfc.org, correct?
Yes.
Advisory, ADVISORY @epicfc.org. And you can reach out to him that way. And is there a number for HomeFREE that you have people calling?
Yes.
Do you know it by heart?
It's 250. I'm sorry, 252-266-0067.
Wow. Can you say that one more time?
252-266-0067. That's the HomeFREE. You can reach me those office hours anytime. And if I'm not available because I'm with someone else, call back, leave a voicemail, and I'll respond to you. Me or one of the team members will respond to you and get back to you as quickly as possible.
So he gave you a number. I gave you a text number. It is 833-276-0422. And you also have an email, advisory@epicfc.org. And if that is too hard for you, just go to Thrive, THRIVE, @epicfc.org. Someone from the leadership team will get that and reach out to you and go from there. And so, is there any last things you would like to say about HomeFREE that people definitely need to know?
Yes, with the upcoming season, holiday season, celebration season coming up, oftentimes, sadly, a lot of our aging, homebound, disabled individuals are left alone. They're not checked on. They don't receive the gifts, nor the presents. More importantly, not the love. So I'm saying, if we are aware of any person that's like that, perhaps a neighbor, perhaps a mother that you've seen in church that you haven't seen in a while, or someone may refer to you, I ask you to take your time out and take a special step just to contact them and let them know they matter, because a touch does matter.
Powerful, man. Powerful. Bring them a patty pie. Something, man. Let them know you care. This has been like very good. It's good for the church. It's good for the body of Christ to hear this kind of stuff, instead of just always hearing about how God is going to bless them. This is a way that we get a chance to be a blessing to everyone. And for those of you that are like me, that have that blind spot, let the people that God is bringing into your life to help you see clearer and further and wider, and to get a more panoramic view of ministry and all that it entails. Let those people be in your life and listen to them. Okay. Look, I'm Pastor Frank. I'm out. I got Elder Ty right here. We love y'all. We expect to hear from y'all. And have a great day. Peace.
Yes. Peace.
Oh my goodness.